In a gloomy atmosphere, there was a girl sitting on a chair unwillingly, and people around her were putting makeup on her and decorating her like a bride, but the truth was she wasn't going to a wedding, she was going to be sold in an auction. Her eyes were full of tears, and her face said she didn't want this, but no one was listening. Everyone was preparing her like a product, and the prettier she was, the higher the price would be. Outside, in the hall, an auction was going on at the highest level. A girl would come up on the stage, her name and age would be announced, and they'd make sure she was healthy and tied up so she wouldn't run. Her face would be down from shame and humiliation and everything bad happening around her, while the men below would fight over who paid more, as if they were buying a toy, not a human. They kept bidding shamelessly, and her price rose moment by moment. Above everyone stood the woman in charge of the auction, a woman named Khalid, looking in control, watching everything from above, saying the men were cheap, provoking the man next to her. But he responded saying even the least of these girls was worth millions, so how could they be cheap? He told her if she were sold, she wouldn't bring a third of their price. Of course, she got angry and told him to shut up because he didn't understand anything. But suddenly, everything turned upside down in a moment when a new girl came up on the stage, but she wasn't like any other girl. She walked in laughing, head held high, like she came to set the world on fire. She looked around the hall, all eyes on her, and unbelievable awe filled everyone's faces. But suddenly, she unleashed the beast inside her, broke the magic chains on her hands, and started casting a fire spell. Real fire lit up everything around her, burning the place down. The maid inside saw what was happening, grabbed a bottle, smashed it, stabbed it into someone's face, pulled out a spear she had hidden, and started flipping and jumping and taking down everyone like a ninja. She quickly grabbed the keys and gave them to the girls to unlock themselves, and all the girls began to break free from the chains and joined the uprising, and the whole hall turned into hell. Khalid hid under the chair, terrified, screaming for her guard and asking where the guards were and why they were late, while the place was exploding and she didn't know what to do. Dia, the girl throwing fire, saw her from afar and launched an attack in her direction, but suddenly a guard appeared and blocked it. Using her magical senses, Dia realized that the guard wasn't just a normal human. He could use magic too. Then the maid named Tart quickly came to help her. Dia started preparing a powerful spell after she had used up all her magical energy. Tart kept fighting and holding off the guards until she finished her spell and boom, an explosion shook the entire place, and that explosion was the signal that someone named Log and his sister Maha had been waiting for. From afar, they saw the palace burning and understood that what happened wasn't random and that Dia and Tart were behind the explosion. They realized that Khalid was guilty and that it was all part of a precise plan to expose her. Log thanked Maha and told her it was her cleverness that made them discover this. She proudly replied that while tracking the money flow, she found that the profits were coming from shady sources and that Khalid was involved in selling girls after kidnapping them and claiming they were bandits, then taking them to the dark market, all under a fake official cover. That's when Log decided they had to act and reveal everything, and that the time had come to assassinate Khalid under the laws of the royal Tuatha family. And in a sudden shift, we moved to a completely different place, in another world and time. A girl standing on a rooftop with a silent man beside her, cold expression on his face, watching a group of people. The girl was describing the situation to him, guiding him where to aim, there and here, and indeed, he started taking them out one by one with utter coldness. Then she said there were still mafia members downstairs. Why not take them out too? He calmly replied that they weren't justice heroes or police. They were tools in an organization, following orders without questioning. If they were supposed to wipe out the entire mafia, they would have been told to, but apparently the organization wanted to keep the mafia and just change its leaders. Maybe because they had agents inside the mafia. The girl got annoyed, but he ended the conversation with one sentence. They weren't here to do good. They were here to follow orders, period. Then they started preparing to escape. They got in a car, but from above, a drone started following them. The man noticed and told the girl he'd drive fast and that the car had to keep moving. They installed weapons through the windows, and the weapons would shoot automatically from the road bumps. The drone would think they were inside the car, but in reality, they'd open the door and jump out, and the car would explode and everyone would think they were dead. It was a brilliant plan. They did it and escaped successfully, but the girl got hurt in her leg. The man helped her and told her they'd rest tonight and move tomorrow because the sun would stop the drone from tracking them, and they slept. While sleeping, she asked him why he worked as an assassination tool, killing people. He told her he was raised that way. The organization made him that way since he was a child and he never had another choice. She asked him if he was okay with that, and he said absolutely, that he was the organization's right hand and proud of it and had nothing to regret. She got angry and told him he had no feelings. He replied that emotions were a burden for a successful assassin, and that he had learned to get rid of them just like he got rid of targets. But the real shock wasn't that. The real shock was when he told her this was his last mission, and she wasn't with him to help or anything. She was just a backup plan plan, and if needed, he'd take her out so she wouldn't expose him later. Suddenly, he pointed a gun at her, and she was stunned. It was her gun. He had taken it from her clothes without her noticing, and he told her seriously, "You're a rookie and careless, and you didn't secure your weapon. That's your biggest mistake." This guy wasn't just a killer, he was smart and extremely cunning. He kept talking and told her, "You were just a backup card, and you won't even exist in the future. I should have taken you out from the beginning." She froze in place, unable to react from the shock, but suddenly he threw her gun back to her and told her, "Sleep and don't waste time." She picked it up and threatened him, telling him to stand and face her. She was going to kill him. He stood up calmly and handed her the bullets, saying, "You really thought I'd give you back a loaded gun? Keep dreaming." That's when she realized she was facing a true monster, brilliant, insane, and there was no escape. She had to stick with him to the end. The next morning, the man got up and opened his laptop from a hidden spot. A coded message from the organization arrived, congratulating him on the mission's success. They informed him all the retirement papers were ready and that he was finally going to Japan to start a new life. But before he closed the message, they asked about the girl who was with him. He told them she was still alive. They replied, "Fine, bring her along. Her papers are next to yours in the drawer." They started preparing for travel with new names and different appearances. But while they were on the plane, suddenly they saw the news reporting that the plane they were on had been hijacked by a terrorist group and that the fate of the passengers was unknown. The bigger disaster was when they looked out the window and saw drones circling the plane. That's when the man froze. He realized his game was over, and the old organization was back for him. Everything happening now was because of old matters with no escape. He started to surrender because he had promised himself this would be his last mission, even if he died in it. He couldn't go back to the world he came from. He had to keep his word. And indeed, the plane exploded. Everyone screamed, and the passengers flew through the air. But the strange part was that the man woke up. He woke up in a completely different world, finding himself on unfamiliar ground. In front of him stood a girl dressed like a princess, welcoming him and telling him she was the queen of the 7 realms. She looked at him proudly and told him he was the lucky chosen one who would be granted a second chance at life. He was shocked and asked her, "So I really died?" She replied, "Yes, you did, but you still have a chance to come back, but with conditions." She offered him 2 choices, either be reborn in a new body and have all his old memories erased, becoming a completely ordinary person, or be reborn in a new body but keep all his old memories and skills. But the condition was that he had to fulfill her request. To kill the hero of the world he would be reborn into, a world full of swords, magic, and adventures. He asked her in shock, "Why should I kill the hero?" She told him, 16 years after your birth, the hero will defeat the Demon King and save the world, but about 2 years later, he'll go mad and use his power to destroy everything, and the world will literally collapse because of his actions. That's why you have to stop him." He asked her, "So, can I kill him before he defeats the Demon King?" She said, "No, because he's the only one who can defeat the Demon King. If he dies before that, the world will be destroyed." So he said, "That means the main goal is to stop the world from being destroyed, not to kill the hero." She replied, "Exactly. So, if you find a way to save the world without killing the hero, then go for it." She began explaining more and told him she'd grant him 5 skills from all the magical skills in that world. She pointed out that the hero would have 32 skills on his own. She also told him he'd get to choose his magic attributes. The basic attributes were earth, fire, water, and wind, and there were rare ones like light and darkness. But if he chose the rare ones, his growth and abilities would be cut in half. So he decided to choose the 4 basic attributes to focus on rapid development. Then he chose his 5 skills. The first was fast healing. The second was magic weaving, which would allow him to create new spells on his own. The third was limitless endurance and training. The fourth was martial arts. The fifth was related to the basic magical attributes. With that, he was ready to go. Then the big transformation happened. Suddenly, he found himself reborn as a child in a noble family called the Tuatha family. His father named him Log, hugged him, and told his wife, "This time, we'll raise him away from the corruption of the royal family. We won't repeat the mistake that cost us our son, Raf." Days passed, and Log grew up remembering everything from his past life. He trained every day and lived with a family that loved and supported him. He tried to learn magic, but he still couldn't use it because he was too young. However, his combat skills were improving every day. He asked his father to get him a magic teacher because he had to unlock the magical powers trapped inside him, and his father father promised it would happen soon. During that time, Log went into the forest by himself and hunted a huge wild rabbit. He returned home and cooked a healthy, balanced meal by himself because he remembered his diet from his previous life, and that helped him build a perfect body. His family was amazed by the food and told him this food could open a restaurant and earn gold. They started suspecting he wasn't a normal child. He was a genius, but that wasn't all. He and his father had a secret agreement to meet every week in a hidden passage inside the mansion to secretly track his progress. The father was a genius doctor who wanted to pass down all his knowledge to his son. And after some time, he told him, "You're now ready to inherit the family's magical eye." This eye could see the magical energy of any being and gave him extremely precise vision. After a risky surgery, it succeeded. Log opened his eye and saw everything clearer than ever before. He began preparing for his upcoming magic lessons. And indeed, after a few days, the new teacher arrived. But the surprise was that it wasn't a man. It was a girl his age named Dia, who had terrifying magical talent but was incredibly powerful. And in their first meeting, she gave him a magic crystal and told him to pour his energy into it so they could measure his magic capacity. He held the crystal and poured terrifying magical energy into it. The girl was shocked and screamed, "Stop! This energy isn't normal." The crystal began to shake and was about to explode, but he threw it before it exploded in his hand, causing a deafening noise throughout the castle. His parents rushed in, terrified, but once they understood what happened, his father was amazed by his son's power and asked Dia to teach him assassination spells in the next lesson. Log sat calmly in front of Dia after blowing up the crystal and causing chaos. People were still talking about the explosion above their heads, and he calmly told her he wanted more crystals. The girl was shocked and told him it was impossible. They came from her country and weren't allowed to be distributed. But Log had his eyes set on a specific goal. He wasn't joking or waiting for permission. He was thinking of a way to get what he wanted, no matter what it took. The next lesson came, and Dia gave him a new crystal and told him to pour just a bit of energy this time, not like before. He listened and poured a small amount. She began testing his magical attributes. She held the crystal and placed her hand on it, saying, "Let's try fire." The moment she touched it, the crystal lit up red fire. That meant he had the fire attribute. She said, "Nice, let's continue." Then they tried water. Again it glowed. She said, "You also have water? That's amazing. That's rare. I've never seen anyone with two attributes besides me." But Log didn't stop there. He told her to continue. It wasn't enough. Dia said, "Let's not go further. We've never seen anyone with more than two attributes." But he insisted. They tested earth. It was there. They tested wind. It was there. And so, Log had all four basic attributes. The girl was shocked and said, "This isn't normal. Who is this boy? He should be a legend, not a child who started learning just days ago." That was the moment she realized this boy was unlike anyone she had ever met, and from there began the first real magic lesson. Dia started teaching him how to draw magic from within, and he focused and succeeded on the first try. Dia was shocked again and told him, "You're not normal." That night, she kept thinking about what had happened. While he was in his room training himself and staying up to develop his strength faster, the next day came, and he showed Dia a spell he had invented himself from his own effort and magic. She told him it was impossible to create a spell in just 2 days. She tested him and was shocked. Not only had he made it, he even came up with a new idea, a spell that creates gold using chemical knowledge he had from his old world. The girl tried it, got a headache, felt weak, and collapsed. He got worried, carried her, rewrote the spell, and let her try it with a new method. It worked immediately. That's when he realized that his magic weaving skill was terrifying. No one could use his spells unless he wrote them himself in a certain way. They both decided that this would be their little secret. No one would know about it, just the two of them. They started spending their days creating inventions, magic, and experiments. He made her a spell that could create a rifle, and they trained in shooting and developed the inventions until they created a human-like tank that could shoot a blast strong enough to blow up half the forest. What happened scared Diameter. She told him, "That's enough. We'll burn this world down and sit over the ashes laughing." Then they returned home and prepared for goodbye. Dia's teaching period had ended. Log prepared a gift for her, a very sharp titanium weapon, and gave her a spell to help her write her own magic without needing him. She was really happy and told him, "Thank you for everything." In return, she gave him the Var crystal he had wanted and told him, "Take it as a memory between us." The next day, the whole family stood to say goodbye to Diameter. She looked at them and said, "I've never seen people like you before. You're a crazy family, but you truly love each other, and I love you all." Log watched her as she walked away, deeply moved. She had become like a big sister to him. Then his father, Kian, told him, "The time has come for you to know the truth about your family, the truth that no one in the kingdom knows." They rode in a secret carriage and traveled together toward a place only reachable by those with secrets. Kian asked him, "What's the the Tuatha family motto? Log replied calmly. Our motto is, we do anything for the benefit of the kingdom, kill, help, lie, betray, all for the sake of Elven Kingdom. Kian smiled and said, exactly. Now we're heading to a secret prison owned by the family. We gather killers and criminals there, we test medicine on them, test inventions, and train in killing and assassination on them. That's when Log began to realize that the family he thought were angels were actually demons themselves, training in killing people in the name of patriotism. But before he could say anything, Kian opened a cell and revealed a girl crying and screaming to be let out. Kian told him, she's a major criminal named Margaret. Kidnapping, murder, theft, everything you can imagine. She was caught and sentenced to death. And I'm leaving the choice to you, how you kill her. Log pulled out a small weapon from his pocket, walked up to her, and without a single word, ended her life without any feeling or emotion. And suddenly, in the heart of the forest, in the freezing cold and darkness, a little girl sat crying among the trees, her eyes full of tears, her body shaking from the cold, with no one to protect her. Her voice broke from screaming so much, but no one heard her. Her heart was breaking because her parents abandoned her, saying, we're poor and can't go on. Our family is big, and there's not enough food, so we have to lighten the load. And of course, the easiest thing was to throw the youngest one into the forest and walk away. Her fate was left in the hands of nature. Either the wolves would eat her, or the cold would freeze her, or she'd die from hunger. The girl tried to walk on her feet, but exhaustion made her fall to the ground. She thought maybe she could go back, maybe they'd forgive her. But another voice in her head said even if she returned, they'd kick her out again because she wasn't wanted. So she closed her eyes and said, maybe death is more merciful. But no, fate decided to make it worse. Not only would she freeze, but suddenly a pack of wolves appeared, surrounding her, eyes glowing, fangs flashing, ready to pounce. And at the moment death was closing in, we cut back to Log, shifting the scene again. We see our hero Log with his family at a big festival hosted by his clan, all of them happy about a harvest larger than any year before. His mother was joyful and acting like a child, running from stall to stall, pestering her son and husband to eat everything and walk with her. But Log didn't come to the festival to eat or have fun. He came for a specific target. His eyes were on someone he knew was hiding in the crowd. He got on a flying vehicle circling the festival, observing the people from above, and began using his magic eye that analyzed magical energy, scanning every person in the area. He thought to himself, I'm 10 now, 8 years left before the main mission. I need to prepare now. I have to find someone special, someone strong, someone I can rely on. But all the ones with high energy were rich and busy, too busy to work with someone like him. So he had no choice but to wait and search on his own. The next day, he got up and said goodbye to his mother, telling her he was going hunting, even though the weather was freezing and it wasn't hunting season. But that didn't matter to him. He made his way to the forest and there, he smelled something strange, the scent of blood, sweat, and fear, the scent of wolves about to attack prey. So he followed the scent to see who the victim was. When he arrived, he saw the same little girl lost in the woods, surrounded by wolves, ready to tear her apart. He had to eliminate them, and he did. He jumped in front of them calmly, drew his bow, and began hunting one after the other. He threw his gear aside so it wouldn't hold him back and focused entirely on the fight. His skills, trained over years, kicked in before his eyes. He was able to pinpoint each wolf's weakness without help and without much effort. Using half his power, he took out one, then the second, then the third, giving them no chance to breathe. The wolves dropped one after the other, and silence fell over the forest once he was done with them all. He walked up to the girl and asked her, "What are you doing out here alone at a time like this?" She told him her family abandoned her because they couldn't feed her. They were storing supplies for winter, and the food wasn't enough, so they decided to get rid of her. She heard from a traveler that there was a rich area here, so she came looking for hope. Hearing that, his heart broke, and he felt this was his chance to help her and bring her into his cause. He sat beside her, pulled out hot food he prepared himself, and told her, "You'll eat, but under one condition. You eat slowly and don't finish it all at once. If you do, I'll give you more." She listened, ate, and he kept his promise and gave her more. She was very happy. He told her, "I'm from a big family. Anytime, I can help you." She was surprised and told him she once dreamed of a princess who told her that today she'd meet someone who would change her life. Hearing the word princess, his heart skipped a beat. He knew this wasn't a coincidence. It was a sign from above. He offered her to live with him at the mansion and start a new life. No fear, no hunger, no humiliation. She asked him, "Are you sure?" He told her, "I need you for something very important." She looked at him with eyes full of tears and told him, "For the first time in my life, I feel wanted, like someone actually needs me." And she agreed. But before they left, he looked at her and told her the truth. "I'm not a normal person. I'm an assassin. I've killed many people. That's my mission in this world, and I want you to help me with that." that, she said. After everything you've done for me, how can I not see you as a good person? You're the only one who helped me and gave me a chance I never even dreamed of. He said, I like your answer, and since we've agreed, if one day you fail or can't help me, everything ends and we each go our own way. She agreed again and asked for his name. He told her, my name is Log. She said, my name is Tart, and the girl was flying with joy inside, not just because she found shelter, but because she finally found purpose. What she didn't know was that Log, from the very first moment he saw her, felt her magical energy was very special, and that she was exactly the kind of person he had been searching for all this time. Her appearance right after the princess's words was a clear sign. This wasn't a normal girl, and he had to bring her into his team. So he began his sly move, told her he needed her for something important, saved her from the wolves in front of her eyes, and told her his secret to gain her trust. All of it to make sure she'd go with him and stay loyal. And suddenly, time cracked and flipped, taking us back 40 years. We saw the princess, queen of the 7 realms, repeating the exact same scene with a man who had been a soldier, died in battle, and came to her. She offered him the same 2 choices, and he agreed, entered the world of swords and magic. But he forgot the goal, forgot the mission, forgot everything, and gave in to comfort, food, and sleep. That experience, to her, was a complete failure. Then we returned to the present. Log was now 12 years old. 2 years had passed since he met Tart. The girl had become a true lady. She woke him up in the morning, made him breakfast, and cared for him like a devoted servant. He told her, I can't believe 2 years have passed like this. She went with him to the training grounds, and he started noticing her combat skills were really weak, not improving no matter how hard she tried. He asked her, what are you good at? She told him, spear fighting, but not swords at all. Immediately, he crafted her a spear and gave it to her to try, and suddenly, something completely unexpected happened. The moment she held the spear, she completely changed. Her focus, her strength, everything exploded in front of him. She transformed into a real combat beast. That's when Log smiled and told himself, ah, this is the girl I've been looking for. We return again to the Queen of the 7 Realms in embodiment attempt number 362, where this time she's betting on a massive, powerful samurai whose terrifying look scares the whole world. She sees in him the hope that he might be the chosen one who'll kill the hero and save the world from destruction. But unfortunately, the unexpected happens. The samurai turns out to be a zero. When the mission comes, he explodes in a dumb moment that has nothing to do with the hero, or evil, or even life itself. This embodiment fails just like the ones before it, and hope is lost again. And so, the only hope left in the entire world is a boy named Log. At that time, Log was walking through the market with Tart. The market was thriving and people were happy, all thanks to Log, who had taught the farmers a new way to make fertilizer that drastically increased crop yield. He also helped others with animal breeding and irrigation system planning. Every step he took in the market, people stopped him, greeted him, thanked him, and prayed for him for what he had done. Because of him, the country had improved, and they were now living in prosperity. He barely walked 2 steps when someone ran up to him saying, my cow is sick, and I don't know what to do. Help me. Without hesitation, Log agreed, got on the cart with him, and Tart rode beside him. While they were on the way, Tart looked at him and said, you've become really famous among the people, and they all truly love you. You're fulfilling your duties and responsibilities perfectly, like a wise man. She asked him to slow down and take a break. What he'd done was more than enough. But Log looked at her confidently and said, no, it's still not enough. What I've done so far isn't enough to win people's hearts, not enough to achieve my goal. I'm only halfway there. She looked at him and said, what you're doing is the opposite of what I was raised to believe. There's always been a line between nobles and servants, between noble people and commoners like me. I never imagined I'd meet someone like you. I never thought I deserved this. He gently replied, you're just like a sister to me. Fate brought us together no matter the circumstances. She got a little nervous and asked, really? Are you doing all this to make me obey you, or because you see me as a sister? He told her, both. I see you as my sister and I trust you. She was happy and promised to serve him until her last day. After that, Log went to the secret passage he had agreed upon with his father, Kian, and met him there. As soon as Kian saw him, he asked, do you really trust Tart? You don't think she's a spy or planning to steal the family's secrets? Log replied, I accounted for that from the beginning. Every word she said, I observed. Every move I analyzed. Over the past 2 years, I haven't seen a single lie from her. Kian smiled and said, she's a good girl. I would have been truly upset if we had misjudged her. I was suspicious because the coincidence that brought you two together felt unnatural. But as long as you're sure, then good. And now I officially declare, if you pass the next training, you'll become an official member of the Tuatha family, and we'll bring you into our upcoming assassination missions. Think carefully, Log, your test starts now. Fight me. Log was shocked. His father told him to fight him right now. Win or lose, I want to see your true level. They immediately moved into the forest. Log moved with focus, trying to reach his father first to gain the advantage of surprise. But suddenly, 2 arrows pierced the tree next to him. His father had already spotted him. Suddenly, he saw him descending from the tree, but his legs snapped. Log quickly stepped back, planning to wait for the healing spell to activate and restore him. Once healed, Log realized his father wasn't human. He was a beast, completely serious. He also noticed that his father was tracking every one of his movements from far and near, which made him wonder, was it because he had memorized his moves, or was the gap in their strength just that big? Still, Log was confident that the skills he received from the queen should make him stronger than this. He decided to change his method. Instead of attacking, he'd let his father attack and just defend everything. His father began launching blows from right and left, and Log analyzed it, thinking, the real hit is coming from somewhere completely different. He focused and realized the final strike would come from above the tree. He readied his dagger and, the moment he sensed movement from above, raised his blade to his father's neck before he even drew his sword. That's how Log won the test. Kian looked at him in disbelief. He couldn't believe what had happened. His 12-year-old son had defeated him, the greatest assassin in the Tuatha family. He looked at him and said, you did all this without even using magic. Bravo. You don't need to learn from me anymore. You're now stronger than me and stronger than anyone in this family. You're free until the final test. Until then, you'll work with me on missions. And so began the series of assassinations. The first target, a kidnapper who tortured 2 girls and made money from them. They took him out without anyone noticing and staged it as a robbery. The second target was killed in his sleep with poison. The third was a bandit hunter. They eliminated him and left traces, making it seem like another gang killed him. At night, they worked as regular doctors, helping the needy like angels. People fed them and thanked them, not knowing they were actually killers. One day, Kian spoke to his son about the final test and told him, this time, you'll enter the noble castle, and you must disguise yourself as a merchant named Alige. That castle holds a rich family who recently had a child, and you are that child in the eyes of the world. Our goal is for you to live among them and complete the mission, become a famous merchant. Log began preparing for the ceremony before his journey. Everyone was proud of him, a 12-year-old taking on one of the family's major tests. But during the gathering, Rona, one of his relatives, showed clear jealousy. Kian noticed and asked, what's wrong, Rona? Rona replied, I was supposed to lead the family after Raf died. How come Log is the one taking over? Kian told him, if Log proves he's stronger than you, do you accept? He said, of course. And suddenly, he felt a blade at his neck, blood dripping. Rona froze, realizing he was facing a little monster ready to end him in a second. The whole hall went silent. Rona surrendered and told him, you deserve it. And after the ceremony, Rona sat with Log and they settled their dispute. He wished him luck in the final mission. Preparations begin, and Log gets himself ready, and Tart also prepares with him for the start of the most dangerous test. Log changes his hair color because his silver hair reveals his identity and shows his lineage from the kingdom of Elven and the Tuatha family, and that must be completely hidden in this mission. He wears glasses, changes his clothes, and disguises himself as a merchant named Alige. As for Tart, she wears a maid's uniform, and they begin the journey to the noble city, Milto, a city that looks magical, a tourist city in every sense, full of people from all countries and races, tourists coming and going, the whole city full of life. In the middle of the crowd, a clever-looking little girl spots a lost tourist, so she approaches him confidently and offers her help for a very small fee. She tells him she'll guide him wherever he wants, walking, eating, drinking, sightseeing. She's with him. Her friend, another homeless girl, joins the tourist to guide him wherever he wants. Everyone around them looks at the girl with admiration and pride, saying that this girl is the reason they're still alive. Without her, they would have starved to death. This girl's name is Maha, the leader of a group of homeless children who not only live on the streets but work and organize themselves properly. Maha is not just a smart child, she's a leader in every sense. She assigns tasks to each of them, and every girl knows her role for the next day. She plans with them that they need to buy clean clothes, because ragged clothes scare tourists and reduce job chances. Maha tells them, my father was a merchant and always told me, serve the customer's desire even if it's against your own, and that's exactly what we're doing. And indeed, they follow her instructions without question because she's the only one among them who understands. But in the middle of their joy, some bandits suddenly appear and stop the children, threatening to kidnap and rob them. Maha tries to resist and use her weak magical abilities to protect her friends, but there are too many of them and she can't control the situation. They tie her up, restrain the others, put them all in a cart, and take them to a strange place. A man named Torin appears in front of them, the director of the place, and says, welcome to your new orphanage. From today, this is your new home, and you'll follow my orders exactly if you want to live. One of the girls, named Noin, looks at him and responds boldly, saying, we don't need you, we're living just fine. Who are you to interfere with us? So he hits her hard, knocking her to the ground and scaring the rest of the girls into silence. He tells them that anyone who disobeys will face beatings or worse. When they enter the orphanage, they find their old friends inside. One throws them rotten, moldy food and tells them it's enough for the whole week. They have to cook and eat it no matter what, they have no other choice. The next day, they wake up to strict orders: cleaning, cooking, washing, sewing, and every small mistake gets one of them thrown into a dark room alone. But amid all this, Torin pretends to be the good guy and says, enough beating, we need them. They're our source of income. They can't die or we'll lose a lot. The others are surprised by his words but stay quiet, and the business begins. A rich, terrifying-looking man arrives and inspects the girls one by one, then gives Torin a bag of money and tells him he wants that girl to come to his mansion today because he has work for her. The chosen one this time was Eva. She goes to the mansion and returns with her body bruised from overwork and beatings, crying from exhaustion. Years pass and nothing changes. Same humiliation, same labor, same hell, until Maha overhears that Torin is planning to sell her to some rich men who will use her as a personal servant. She gets terrified and escapes in the middle of the night, not knowing where to go or what to do. She sits, crying, thinking about killing herself to escape this life. She holds a knife and brings it close to herself. Suddenly, she hears Log's voice appear before her like a ray of light in the darkness. He calmly tells her, don't cry, you're strong, and this is just the beginning. After a while, the girls gather in front of Torin, all trembling in fear because a merchant is coming to buy one of them, and everyone is scared. That merchant is Log, disguised as a leech. He stands in front of Maha, looks at her, and respectfully asks her to come with him and serve him. Maha steps back, afraid of him, not wanting the tragedy to repeat, but Log reassures her with a single glance. Torin takes advantage and raises her price, but Log agrees and pays without hesitation. He tells him she won't come today. He'll return in 3 days to take her when she's ready, and Torin agrees. At night, Noin sits with Maha to help her get ready. She cries because she's jealous. Her face is scarred because in a moment of weakness, she decided to scar herself. She tells Maha, if I hadn't done this, maybe I would have been the one going. Maha hugs her and cries with her, saying, you're the kindest of them all, and I'll try to help you. Later, Maha rides the carriage with Torin, who begins to harass her on the way, moving closer to her. She screams and tries to escape, tries to use her magic, but she can't. The situation becomes more dangerous. At the very moment when she's about to lose hope, Log suddenly appears and rescues her from his hands, taking him down like a real hero. Tart is with him and arrests Torin and his assistant with forged charges, handing them over to the police. Log takes Maha, reassures her, and tells her, you're part of my family now, ask for anything. She asks him to return to the orphanage and heal her friend Noin's face. Log doesn't hesitate. He takes them back to the orphanage himself and heals Noin's face completely. When she looks in the mirror, she's shocked, cries from joy, jumps with happiness, and the girls celebrate with her. The whole orphanage turns into a party, and the girl who was about to die from sorrow smiles again. And within a rich and noble family, Log is officially adopted after saving their son's life and helping them through a critical heart surgery. The father stands in front of him, face full of gratitude, saying, I don't know how to repay you, not just for what you did, but for your father too, whom I knew long ago and who did me a great favor. But Log, with all calmness, takes advantage of the moment and says, I don't want anything from you except a place in this family, a place I can return to when I need you. The father is happy and tells him, from today, Maha is officially your little sister in the eyes of the public and the law, and everyone will treat her as part of the family. From that moment, Log feels happiness and Maha feels reassured. After that, the father sits with Log and says, now you're my son, and I have a new shop I've opened. I want you to manage it yourself. I trust you and your intelligence, and I believe you can turn this into one of the most successful businesses in the city. Log hesitates a bit, but eventually agrees. He sits with the girls who have now become his new family. They're cooking together, chatting, laughing, and he tells them he wants to make a lot of money from the shop and reach as many nobles as possible to get close to them and carry out his missions more easily. That's why he decided to open a shop specifically for women, selling cosmetics, sweets, and all kinds of girl products. Maha tells him, be careful, the market here is full of shops with the same idea. The competition is intense. But Log confidently replies, don't worry, I've got another plan that'll turn the market upside down. The next day, he goes to meet his new father and mother. His father is pleased with him, but his new mother can barely stand him. But Log doesn't care. He tells them his new plan. He wants to open a shop for girls, but he needs a product that'll break into the market and give him control fast. He pulls a bottle out of his bag and says, most cosmetics ruin ruin the skin and cause dryness. Even after removing them, people feel like their face is damaged. That's why the whole world needs to get ready for my new invention, the moisturizer. This moisturizer doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It's the first real magical moisturizer that solves dry skin, hydrates the face, and keeps makeup in place without smudging. His mother tries a drop on her hand, and suddenly her skin becomes soft, hydrated, and her complexion returns to baby smooth. She says, "Impossible. This product is genius. How did you make it?" She's thrilled and says, "From now on, you're the son I never had, even though I can't stand your mother." His father asks, "How many bottles can you make per week?" Log replies, "No more than 200. But he says, "No problem. We'll hire workers and increase production. But be careful. Other companies might copy you." Log tells them the moisturizer is made of oil and water, and those two ingredients don't mix except in a specific way, and that formula is a secret only the Tuatha family knows, and it'll never be shared. His father tells him, "I'm leaving everything to you. Handle it as you see fit." 6 months later, the shop opens, and sales go through the roof. Girls line up at dawn just to buy it. People can't believe what's happening. Manhwa organizes the line and tells every girl, "Only 2 bottles per person, no more." The people around her are the same girls who were once homeless. Now they're respectable salesgirls. Their lives completely changed. They're all happy and laughing, and Manhwa stands proudly. Log sits outside with Tart, watching the shop and feeling proud of what he accomplished. He tells her, "I can't believe that in just 6 months, the shop reached the top." Tart says, "I'm proud of you for hiring girls who really needed work. These lovely girls will be a perfect face for the store." She tells him, "You always try not to show you're doing good. You pretend you're only doing things for your own benefit. But I know you're kinder than that." At night, Log lies in bed, but his mind is awake, thinking about something important. He knows spies will come to find out the secret formula. And indeed, the moment Tart senses someone entering the house, she rushes to his room and strikes the spy with her poisoned sword, paralyzing him completely. Manhwa comes and ties him up, and Log goes with them to the place where they start torturing and interrogating him. But the man is stubborn, refuses to talk. They try all the methods Log taught them, but it's useless. The spy is like stone. And we return to another timeline, 30 years back, when the princess decided to change everything and brought in a rap singer. She told him, "The mission is simple. I want you to sing and kill the hero. Sing and hang. Sing and rule the world." The man agreed, but of course the mission failed and everything stayed the same, until the next day when Log wakes up and says he's going out alone, taking a day off to visit Dia, whom he hasn't seen in months. He gives her a gift and she's happy and gives him a new spell, a spell that cancels gravity and makes things float. He's thrilled and says, "This product will be a hit." She tastes the chocolate he brought and tells him, "There's no taste like this in the world." Night falls and Log says goodbye to Dia, telling her, "I'll see you next month, like always." He returns home, goes to sleep, and thinks about everything that happened in recent days. He tells himself, "I really did it. I built an empire, and now everyone is under my control." But a new danger is approaching Manhwa and her friends. Eva and her friend were carrying some stuff they were supposed to deliver to Manhwa and Log, but it got too late, the street was empty, and they were lost with no one around. Suddenly, 2 strangers appeared, faces unfamiliar, kidnapped her friend and tied up Eva, with fierce, evil intent on their faces. They started threatening and closing in, but at the critical moment, Manhwa appeared like a thunderbolt from the sky, standing in front of them boldly, saying, "Stay away from my friends now, and if you come near them again, I'll make your life hell." Eva looked at her in disbelief that she came just in time. Manhwa continued, "First time I've seen your faces in this city, so you're probably not from here, and outsiders can't be trusted at all." The criminals backed off in fear because they saw in her eyes a look of challenge scary enough to shake a mountain. Then she took the girls and went back to the shop, continuing her work with confidence as if nothing had happened at all. She started talking to the customers, convincing them to buy, explaining the product uses. She became really good at her job and persuasive like she's been working there for years. As for Tart, she was sitting outside as usual with Log, giving him her profits because during the past period, she was going to battles and trials to improve her skills. She told him that now it's been 2 years since the mission started. Can't believe how fast time flew. Log also couldn't believe the success they achieved. The chocolate and moisturizer were exploding in the magical market, and the whole world was talking about them. He managed to build a massive network in a short time. At night, he talked to Manhwa and told her he had to travel for a while and that she needed to manage the shop herself and expand it to reach the neighboring city. Manhwa told him she had her eye on a special land in the other city. It used to belong to some rich people, but they sold it and it's been empty for a while. When he saw her expression, he was shocked. The moment he saw the place, he realized it wasn't just any land. It used to belong to Manhwa's father, who died due to betrayal by his assistant. She was actually the rightful heir to it, the same place where her father opened his first shop. Memories came rushing back into Log's head at that moment. He told her, "Do whatever you want," and encouraged her. But deep down he felt that this was the moment Manhwa could regain her dignity, get her father's justice, and start a new chapter. She was overjoyed and thanked him for his support, feeling for the first time that someone truly understood her. Her friends working with her came and gave Log a gift, thanking him for the opportunity he gave them. He said, "No, I was just a simple reason," but they insisted, "Even if you were just a coincidence, you were the best thing that ever happened to us." Manhwa helped prepare Log for the trip and restored his natural hair color. Tart wore her old outfit. It was time to return to Tuatha. At the farewell, Manhwa came and told him, "Don't worry, I'll grow the shop and carry the place on my shoulders. But tell me, will you come visit me like you used to visit Dia?" He told her, "You're not just any friend, you're my sister, and I'll see you even more than Dia during this period." She smiled. On the way, Tart asked him, "Will you miss Manhwa?" He replied, "Of course. Manhwa was the first person we met on our first day in Milto." Tart was happy. He told her they'd keep sending her secret product samples so she could stay involved in the work and remain close. While in the carriage, suddenly, a pack of wild wolves attacked. The driver panicked and ran to hide. Log stood up. Tart asked him to let her handle it alone. She wanted to show him her progress. She grabbed her spear and faced the first wolf, attacked and killed it. The second one was harder, but she still managed to finish it quickly within 2 minutes. Log looked at her, pleased, seeing how much her level had increased. He told her, "Nice work, keep it up, keep improving and never stop." But in the middle of it all, Log noticed something strange. He said that monsters aren't supposed to leave their designated territories like this, unless one thing was happening. The hero was about to appear and disaster was close to erupting. After that, he decided to visit the soybean farms where he got the ingredients for his moisturizer. As soon as he arrived, people came out to greet him, cheering his name, thanking him, inviting him in, and telling him that because of him, their lives changed. They became wealthy and their quality of life improved. They gave him a gift too as thanks. He returned home. As soon as he arrived, his mother hugged him and started rambling, while he tried to escape because he wanted to see his father. He entered to find his father standing and looking at him with pride. He said, "I told you to go to Milto to learn trade and experience life, but what happened exceeded my expectations. You didn't just learn, you became the most famous merchant in the world. Your trade reached countries we don't even know how to pronounce. Your success is unreal. Your thinking is genius. But that's not all. I had another reason for sending you there. I wanted you to experience life and choose your future yourself. What you saw made you live with people and see the world through new eyes. But now, you must decide. Do you want to continue as a merchant or return as an assassin of the family?" Log replied, "I've been working on myself the whole time to succeed in this mission. I killed people, fought battles, passed trials. I'm not coming back as a merchant. I'm coming back as an assassin." His father said, "All the people you killed were already sentenced to death. You just carried out the execution differently. The family that adopted you called me and said you were a successful merchant and advised me to let you continue. Honestly, their words touched me. I became truly confused because you've succeeded in both paths. But still, you need to know that the Tuatha family is cunning, and a day might come when you're falsely accused and executed over a rumor." Log confidently replied, "Even if that happens, I'll be ready. I'll return to my merchant identity then. But for now, I want to continue as an assassin, protect the people I love, and bring justice in my own way." At that moment, his father smiled and told him, "I'm proud of you, son." And his father assigns him a new mission, telling him there's a rich man tied to the family who's been selling their secrets to other kingdoms in exchange for drugs he distributes here in the kingdom and in others. People have started getting addicted, and the situation has become dangerous. They need to eliminate him, but quietly, no noise, no chaos, using Log's special method. Log takes the file with all the man's details and starts preparing his plan. He sits with Tart and tells her this time it's different. They're dealing with a drug dealer threatening the entire kingdom, corrupting people, and they must act fast. The next day, Log wakes up to find his mom standing in front of him, overly excited, with a look that says she's about to say something very important. He asks her what she wants, initially ignores her, and goes back to sleep. But Tart enters the room and tells him to get up quickly. They're late. He gets ready fast and steps out of the room to find his mom waiting. She tells him she wants to see her grandchild and that he's old enough to get married. Log is shocked and tells her, "I'm only 14. What marriage are you talking about?" His mom says, "Then marry Tart. You're both still young." Tart starts yelling, saying they're like siblings and grew up together. His mom just laughs and leaves them to continue their day. After that, Log and Tart decide to head to a bigger bigger city after Milto. Log tells her there are things he needs to see for himself, things that don't concern Manhwa, and he wants to witness what's happening in the other city. Then we shift to another timeline, 25 years ago. The princess decides to pick a new person for the mission, a photographer with no combat skills but a passion for photography. She tells him the mission is simple: kill the hero by any means. He agrees and enters the world of magic, but as soon as he lands, a horse steps on him and he dies. The mission fails. The princess is on the verge of tearing her hair out from the endless failures. Each time, she loses hope more than the last. Back to Log, who arrives at the city and walks down an eerily empty street. He feels like something is off until he meets a little girl selling jam who asks him to buy some. He tastes the jam and notices a strange flavor, realizes it's full of drugs. He throws it on the ground. The girl screams, starts collecting it, and cries, saying it was all her income to buy medicine for her mother. Log isn't swayed and tells her, "You were poisoning people. I saved many lives by throwing it away." Tart decides they should check on the mother. They find her obsessed, acting strangely, hitting her daughter because she didn't return with the drugs. Log decides to heal the mother and detox her from the addiction. After that, he leaves the house with Tart and tells her, "We need to move quickly. This isn't just a dealer. He's destroying an entire nation." He contacts Manhwa and tells her to get ready. They'll travel together to the drug production site where Count Vanker, the man responsible, is located. But they need to infiltrate the mansion smartly, as the owner of the famous store and his distribution manager. They arrive at Vanker's mansion and meet his wife, pretending to offer her their new luxury product, their moisturizer, so she can stand out at the party that night. The wife is thrilled, believes them, and says it's the best thing that's ever happened to her. She prepares herself to be the most beautiful woman at the party. That night, the party begins. Log and Tart blend in among the guests and meet Count Vanker through his wife, who's proudly talking about their product to everyone she knows. Later that night, Log and Tart leave the mansion. Log gets ready for the mission, changes his clothes, puts on a disguise, and waits at a high spot for Vanker to leave the mansion. He pulls out his rifle, locks on target, and as soon as Vanker steps out, he pulls the trigger. The bullet flies and pierces Vanker's heart, ending him in a single second. Then he sees the wife screaming and crying over her husband's body. The sight shakes him. For the first time in a long while, he feels real emotions. He looks at himself and says, "What happened to me? I used to be a tool I killed without feeling or thinking. Now I feel like a human. I have a heart. I feel guilt." Tart approaches him and says, "Don't overthink it. You did the right thing. You're eliminating criminals, not innocents. You're protecting the people who love us." Log looks at her and smiles, realizing she always supports and understands him more than anyone else. In the end, Log and Tart return and start thinking about the next step after eliminating Vanker. He tells her, "We're getting close to the hero's emergence. Monsters have started appearing in unusual places. We need to prepare better than ever." Tart replies, "Don't worry. I'm with you till the last breath, and I'm ready for any battle ahead." Then we see them riding a boat, trying to reach land because they had been stuck for a really long time on a deserted island. Log sees that on land, Manhwa is guiding them with magical energy, so he heads toward her and finally reaches land. They greet Manhwa since it's been so long since they last saw her. Log asks her about the latest news, and she tells him she managed to find a magical spear buried with the sacred treasure and is now negotiating to obtain it. He tells her that's very good because that spear would help him. She also tells him she has bad news. There's been a civil war in the city where Dia lives, and Dia and her family joined the war, and someone from the rebel army is harassing them during the war, and they believe Dia now needs help. He doesn't doubt the news at all and heads straight to Dia's house. Dia, the moment she sees him, is very happy because it's also been a long time since she last saw him. He notices then that she's acting totally normal like always. Nothing seems different, so he asks her how she's doing. She says she's fine, nothing new. He asks her how come nothing's new when he heard there's a war. She says, "War? Oh, you mean the civil war in the city? But that's really far from us and it's not dangerous." He tells her he also heard her family join the war. She says her family joined because they are magic warriors and their family is really big. Only a few of them joined, so it's not a big deal. He asks her about the people harassing her family from the rebels. She tells him not to worry too much because it's not worth it. But he feels like it's serious, so he tells her he'll use his influence as a famous merchant and his connections to make her and her family escape to a safe place. She gets a bit angry at him and says she's an important person and it's not right for her to leave her country and life and escape because what's meant to happen will happen anywhere and they shouldn't run from fate. But then she calms down and suggests they go out for a bit. He says it's not possible because if she goes out it could be dangerous and someone might target her, but she insists on going out, and to please him, she changes her hair color to match his exactly as a simple disguise so it doesn't limit her while walking, and they actually go out together and walk in the city. At that moment, he spaces out because he sees a passing vehicle. She asks him what's wrong. He tells her that the vehicle's owner walks like a soldier, not like a normal merchant. She tells him not to worry. Most people in the city like to wear disguises and stay low profile because of the civil war and so on, so he'll see a lot of that. They don't talk more about that, and she grabs his hand and takes him with her into a game shop. She makes him hold a bow and aim at the teddy bear. She wants him to win for her, but when she sees him using magic, she says that's not allowed and it wouldn't be fun if they win right away. He teaches her how to win. She fails 6 times in a row, but finally, she manages to hit the teddy bear precisely and wins it and is very happy. Then he takes her out to eat. Then we go back 20 years in the princess's world. This time, she acts differently and decides to appoint a female teacher to train the hero who might help save the world, instead of the useless men she kept appointing before. She sends the teacher to her world, but she feels the teacher isn't enough. She's thinking of appointing someone else with her. Maybe this time the world will be saved. It shows that she has someone in mind but hasn't made the decision yet. And we go back to Log, who's at the restaurant with Jia, eating together, talking and remembering their memories. After they finish eating, they walk together. That's when they meet a kid sitting alone looking sad. They go over and ask him why he's upset. He seems scared and tells them he got separated from his mom and can't find her and is very scared he'll never see her again. Jia reassures him and Log asks him where his home is, but the boy says he doesn't really know the place. At that moment, Jia uses magic and manages to locate his mom when she hears her voice calling out to her son from far away. She tells Log and he takes the boy and they both return him to his mom. They're both very happy and Jia tells him that he's really kind and helps people. He tells her he did that for her so she'd always remember that moment. Then their day together ends and she says goodbye to Log and he promises her he'll come back soon and see her again. After he leaves, she orders the people in the city to stop what they're doing. They all take off their disguises and it turns out they're actually soldiers. They line up in formation and she walks among them, crying like she's leaving and never coming back. Then Log returns to his city and enters his house to find his father and mother trying to treat a strange man lying on the ground. He asks them, surprised, who he is and what he's doing here. His father stands and speaks seriously, saying, I want you for another mission, and this time it's a dangerous and very important one. I want you to kill Diameter. I know you might refuse, and that's your choice. But Log tries to hold himself together, speaks bravely, and asks his father, saying, the Faken family, which is Jia's family, are really good people from the Kingdom of Sigil where the Civil War is. Wouldn't that be a really bad thing too if we interfered in the affairs of other kingdoms? Especially since the Kingdom of Sigil is far from us and has nothing to do with us. His father replies, you're right, and if we get exposed and other countries find out we're involved, it will become an international issue. So Log is confused and asks him what Jia has to do with any of this. His father says it's a personal matter. During the Civil War in the Kingdom of Sigil, the Faken family fought alongside the royal family as part of the army and were defeated. So Log says, but after their defeat, they paid all the financial compensations owed and even completed the war procedures very legally. What's the problem? His father says that Count Faken gave up most of his wealth and land, but the matter didn't end there. All eyes turned to their daughter Jia because she's a beautiful girl, and it's very normal for any greedy rich man to desire her. That's what actually happened. But Jia wasn't against being under someone's control in exchange for avoiding more wars. However, her family refused to give her up, and many problems happened because of that, and Count Faken is now seen as the instigator of the Civil War. And that's why Jia has to die for the war to stop. And of course, Log understands all this and asks his father who is the one pushing to kill Diameter. The father tells him, and shocks him, that it's Count Faken, Jia's own father, who is responsible. But Log surprises his father by saying he understands everything clearly and tells him that Faken is confident and sure that he's involved in the war and can't save his daughter Jia from the evil people who want her and are greedy for her. He was doing all this for her. It doesn't make sense that he wants to kill her now. He just wants to fake her death to save her and smuggle her out of the country. And of course, Log agrees to take the mission because he loves Jia so much and owes her a lot. His father tells him that the two of them are very much alike and tells him a truth he didn't know, that he and Jia are related because Log's mother is from the Faken family. He had once broken the rules to marry her, and that's another reason to motivate him to save Diameter. So he takes Tart and gets ready to reach Diameter. Tart tells him that if they run at their maximum speed, they'll use up all their energy and won't be able to complete their mission. That's why she offers that they use her magic and she'll run out of energy just to get him there, and he can continue the mission and reach Jia and save her. And indeed she does that, using wind magic and pushing herself hard, trying to reach Jia's faraway city as fast as possible. They go through very hard conditions that delay their arrival, but still, Tart doesn't give up because she wants to repay Log no matter matter what and sees this as the best way. Midway, she gets very exhausted and collapses on the ground, unable to go on, and asks Log not to stay with her and to go save Diameter. Log refuses at first, but she insists. So he listens to her because all he's thinking about now is how to save Dia. And truly, he leaves her and goes on to complete his mission. Finally, he reaches Dia's city, but he finds that near it, the enemy army is stationed, around 1,500 of them, which is a huge number he can't handle alone, especially because that army includes magic users. Also, only about 200 soldiers from Dia's army are standing guard. So he acts smartly and pulls out his magic rifle and fires random shots at the enemy army. The army retreats because they can't tell exactly where the shots are coming from, and also, the shots take down a large number of soldiers. After that, he tries to enter Dia's castle without any soldiers or anyone seeing him so he can cleverly fake Dia's death. He succeeds in entering the castle and meets her and makes sure she's okay. He also meets her father, who's with her in the room to protect her. Mr. Faken thanks Log for coming and completing the mission, and he tells him his plan. He intends to lure the enemies toward him so that the allies have time to escape, and then he'll launch a counterattack on the enemies and try to escape. At that time, this room should be set on fire so it looks like Dia committed suicide. Log likes the idea and agrees to it, but before that, he brings a dead soldier's body and puts it in the room so if anyone searches later, they'll find the body and think it's Dia's. He also tells her to open the window and say in front of everyone that she can't take it anymore and doesn't want anyone to die because of her, so it looks like she's broken and wants to end her life. But the moment she opens the window, Log senses something strange. The same feeling he had in his past life when he was on the plane and sensed danger, feeling like it was the end. So he quickly reacts and pulls Dia away from the window. At that moment, an indescribable magical force hits, so powerful even Log can't identify it. It wipes out all soldiers, both Dia's and the enemies, and crashes into their castle and blows it up. Dia, Log, and her father escape from the castle, surviving miraculously. Log tries to see where the magical strike came from and finds it came from a strange boy radiating massive magical energy. So he tells Dia to cover her ears and uses magic to create a cannon like the ones they used to make as kids and feared its sound. He launches it at the boy, and when the explosion happens, the boy is unaffected. In fact, he mocks Log and tells him it's been a long time since he heard such a powerful sound. Then Mr. Faken tells Log to take Dia and leave quickly, and he'll handle things from there because that man won't be affected by anything they do. That man also speaks to Log and gives him a choice, to fight him man to man or run away. But if he fights and manages to defeat him, he promises to leave Faken's land alone and will withdraw his forces. Log accepts the offer, but he's smarter than that. He realizes this fight is harder than any battle he's ever faced. So he starts thinking of a better way to help him win against that man. He then remembers the magical spear that Maha told him about and feels that spear might be the only way to win. At the same time, his mother is sitting sadly in the castle, worried about her son, when a message arrives and she rushes to her husband to inform him. As for Log, after thinking it through, he realizes there's no time to check the spear issue since he's already standing in front of a real fight he's 100% sure he'll lose. Dia tries to reassure him and asks if he has a plan, but he calmly tells her he has no plan and is sure he'll die 10 seconds after the fight starts unless he's lucky enough to kill the guy. Dia tells him she'll never allow him to die and that she'll go down and fight with him, but Log stops her and asks her father to take her and leave quickly so they'll have enough time to escape. Her father apologizes to him for getting him involved when it had nothing to do with him. As for Log, deep inside, he's anxious because he suspects the man in front of him is the hero he's supposed to kill in 2 years. If he kills him now, the world will collapse because of the monster king who'll appear, so he has no choice but to sacrifice himself to help Dia escape. He goes himself to face the hero and introduces himself with a fake name. He asks the hero if he wins the fight, how can he be sure his forces will really retreat, especially since Log will die and the decision won't be in his hands. The hero senses this is a real fight and there's another true hero in front of him who doesn't want to lose, so he assigns someone else to carry out the order after him. When he feels Log is stalling, he gets angry and asks, "When do we start our fight?" So Log pulls a coin from his pocket and says, "We'll start after this coin hits the ground." He throws it and starts counting 10 seconds. From the very first second, an explosion happens that makes Log recall all his memories, both from this life and the previous one. But this explosion was a surprise planned by Log during his time on the deserted island. He wasn't just staying there for nothing, he had a plan. He had forged a spear made of tungsten in space, planning to use it 2 years later when he met the hero. That spear, once dropped from extreme heights, would create a nuclear explosion, and in the human world, there's no force capable of escaping a nuclear blast. He executes that plan exactly as intended, but slightly earlier. He uses wind magic and directs the spear to the hero's location, and the nuclear explosion occurs, destroying the entire area. Miraculously, Dia and her father manage to protect themselves, and Log creates a barrier around himself. But the hero didn't know what was happening, and the explosion struck without him securing himself. Log's plan succeeds, and he survives miraculously. He manages to save Dia from the villains and returns to his country. He decides to live two lives, one as a merchant and one as an assassin, and he continues his life that way.